What's going on, guys? It's Brandon back here again. Not for a BFR. It won't be like that for a while. But we are going to revisit our regular season predictions. You're probably looking at my whiteboard right now and being like, Brandon, what the F is going on there? And to be honest, I know pretty well, so just stick with me. So, what we have here is, I essentially have the current standings. The Winnipeg and Seattle game on on Sunday won't change anything. So I've gone over, went back to my old prediction videos, and I looked at where every team was in those prediction videos. And if they was wrong, I showed where they were via the red arrows, and if they were right, they got the green arrow. So as you can see, I got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams right. That's 1/4 of the league. I'm not quite happy with that result, but 1/4 of the league is decent, I guess. So yeah, let's start with we'll go from left to right. That is your left to my right, or your left to your right, my right to your left. So we'll start with the Pacific. Calgary, did I have them finishing first? Absolutely not. I had them finishing 5th, and I had plenty of excuse. They had underperformed in 2020, 2021, they missed the playoffs. And this year, it's 2019 again, and they ran away with the division. Except that in 2019, they ran away with the conference. But yet, Calgary finishing first is a huge. It's what should have been expected these past couple of years. But all of their underachieving basically made me put them in that 5th seed, as the arrow points right down to where Vancouver is. It's hard to see. You probably can't see it, but that's my explanation. However, Edmonton, I nailed that prediction. I got Edmonton in 2nd, and they were clearly the second best team in the division. However, I didn't think they would be the second place to Calgary. And the number 3rd spot, we have LA, who had a huge season. I don't think anyone expected LA to be this good. I originally had them in 6th place, where San Jose currently is. So good on LA for being able to overcome any obstacles in their way and jump up a few spots. Vegas might be the biggest disappointment on the season. That's another video I'm going to have to make. If you don't know, my video schedule is going to be packed. I have about 17 planned videos for the next 3-4 days. So it's going to be a very busy weekend and start of week. But moving on. So yeah, Vegas, huge disappointment. I originally had them finishing 1st, and you can see clearly that they're not there, so they're not even in the playoffs. So huge upset for Vegas, and yeah, Vegas is going to have to come back next year, hopefully with a healthier roster and with probably some pieces gone to adjust their cap space. And in 5th place, I was 1 space off here. We have the Vancouver Canucks, who, if they had Bruce Boudreau about 2 weeks earlier, I'm pretty sure my prediction would have been nailed. They might have been even in the playoffs. But yeah, Vancouver finishes 5th. I had them finishing 4th. Not too strange there. But yeah. San Jose and Anaheim, again, I was just 1 spot off. San Jose, I had finishing 7th. They finished 6th. Anaheim finished 7th. I had finishing 8th. They finished 7th. So Anaheim in the beginning of the season looked like they were going to run away with a playoff spot, and they just kind of collapsed. And they sold at the deadline, and they just continued to collapse. But yeah, nothing really much to go over there. We knew these teams were not going to make the playoffs from the start, and it just was a weird way in which it happened. Seattle was probably my biggest bust in the Pacific Division without question. Seattle, I had finishing 3rd, and I think they did some messed up things in the expansion draft. I think they messed up a lot of things. But I expected them with their goaltender. They had Grubauer, they had Drieger, they had Joey Decord, who was a 3rd goalie. That wasn't bad at all. Then you also had Giordano, Adam Larson, Jamie Alexiak, Vince Dunn, Hayden Fleury, all on defense. I'm thinking this team is going to keep the puck out of the net, and they're not going to score a lot, even though they have Jaden Schwartz, they have Jordan Eberle, they have other pieces. This team is not going to score a lot, but they're going to keep the puck out of the net. What happened was they couldn't get what happened was that they couldn't keep the puck out of the net. They got scored on a lot. But yeah, so biggest fail, the worst prediction of the division, easily Seattle. But moving on, we have the Central Division, which I nailed some pretty logical spots that things would happen. Colorado finishing first was the easy one, winning the conference. I had that as well. That was the easy part. So get a check mark there. Move on. Minnesota finishing second. I don't know what I was thinking here. I thought I had Minnesota finishing like fourth, maybe fifth at the least. I had them finishing sixth. I don't even know how I can justify that. They've been playing out of this world this year, and I don't know what else to say other than to apologize to Minnesota for doing that, because they've been playing excellently. And then in third we have St. Louis, who I had finishing fifth. So St. Louis, interesting team, because they looked like they were on the downward trend. Tarasenko wanted out. Jaden Schwartz was lost at the expansion draft, and it looked like they were just starting to go in the wrong direction. But they turned it around. That's the only way they can put it. They turned it around. And if you hear me sounding a little weird right now, I do have my retainer in, so that's kind of why I'm sounding weird. I could realize that. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. I just want to make sure I got some water, just so I could sound a little bit better. So yeah, St. Louis finishes third instead of fifth, which I had originally predicted. But yeah, major upswing of this season that we didn't expect from St. Louis. Now in fourth we have Dallas, and this is an accidental prediction because I realized during the Central Division that this was easily the hardest division to predict. But Dallas, I thought the way they got there was not the way I expected. I expected them to have a full team effort, not just Hintz, Pavelski, Robertson. This team, I'd also expect them to. I thought that we'll talk about Nashville in a second, but I'd expect this team to finish wild card one last night. But we'll go into that. But yeah, I nailed Dallas's prediction on accident. But moving on, we have Nashville, who I predicted to finish seventh, so they had a good season. They make the playoffs as well. But Nashville, you were winning 4-0 after the first 5 minutes against Arizona, and you lost 5-4, and you had a chance to go up against Calgary in the most bruising series of the playoffs, but now you're going up against Colorado, which you're going to get down in 6 probably. I don't know. I'll think about it later when I'm doing my predictions tomorrow, or my previews. We'll do predictions also tomorrow. But yeah, so Nashville, I'm not sure. I'm angry and happy with them at the same time. They kind of blew a higher playoff spot in a better series, and then they also were supposed to, I thought, would finish 7th because everything was going wrong, but instead they didn't. And not to mention Saros is injured for the playoffs. So in 6th we have we have Winnipeg. Winnipeg I expected to finish 2nd. On the paper, this team is fantastic. Goaltending, Hellebuck. Offense, Scheifele, Connor, Wheeler, Ehlers. Enough said. Dubois, enough said. Defense, they have Morrissey, and they have some pieces they need to work on. On defense, but this is a great team on paper. How they finished 6th is beyond me. Maybe it's just an off year, but I don't know what happened with this team. Chicago in 7th. I had them finishing 3rd. Yeah, that was an awful prediction. But to be fair, they brought in Marc-Andre Fleury. They brought in Seth Jones. They had bounce-back seasons from Strome. Hagel turned into a legitimate top sixer, scoring 21 goals with Chicago. DeBrincat, 41 goals. Kane had 93 points, I think, by the end of it. Taze was slow to start the year, but at the end of the year, he was rolling. Nothing went right for Chicago. They started the season horribly, and they could never catch up once they did that. But yeah, that was just that's probably my most biased. It looks so biased, but I genuinely thought Chicago was going to finish 3rd when I made the Central Division predictions. And then Arizona in last. Well, yeah. So moving on to the Atlantic, yes, I've had Arizona finishing last, big surprise. Florida winning the President's Trophy. I mentioned it last night in the BFR. I mentioned it I've said in the preseason predictions for the Atlantic and the power rankings for preseason, Florida would win the President's Trophy. Was I right? Yes, I was. Best team in the league, Florida Panthers. I'm very happy about getting that prediction right, and I think it should count as, honestly, times 2 all my points, but we'll hold off. Toronto finishing 2nd. they did better than I expected. I expected them to finish fourth. Tampa, I expected to finish second. Boston, I expected to finish third. So Atlantic, everyone knew what the playoff teams were going to be. It's just what order they would come in, and I switched around Tampa, Boston, and Toronto, as most people probably did, as those are three pretty good teams, and I had Florida easily number one. Just what happened after that was kind of a crapshoot, but I got all the teams in the playoffs right, so that's what I was going for. And now the big switch. Buffalo and Montreal essentially switched spots in my predictions. Montreal completely fell off the board, and Buffalo completely rose the board. Buffalo I had finishing 8th, Montreal I had finishing 5th. They completely rotated spots. And then Detroit and Ottawa nailed those ones as well, so I'm happy to say that I wasn't fooled by Ottawa, and that I was more enthusiastic about Detroit, who looked like they could have went into the playoffs for a bit during the season, but then they kind of fell off. Moving on to the Metropolitan, Carolina I had finishing 2nd, so not too bad there. Rangers I had finishing 5th and not making the or did I? I don't remember if I had them making the playoffs, or I don't think I did. I'm pretty sure I had. Did I? I had them as the second wild card. I had 3 in the Atlantic and Toronto, missing. So yeah, so the Rangers were in, but I had them finishing 5th instead of 2nd. Excellent season from the Rangers they put together. Penguins I had finishing 4th, so 1 spot down, pretty close. Washington I had finishing 1st, and let me defend myself here. Washington always seems to finish 1st in the division, no matter what it was, aside from last year essentially, and there's really, I figured Washington would finish 1st because they always do. Ovechkin's getting closer and closer to Gretzky. They have still a Backstrom, who started the season late, but he was fine. They have Kuznetsov. They have the real question is in net, will they be able to run Samsonov and Vanacek? Defensively, Orlov, Carlson, no issues there. But going into the playoffs, they're kind of a middle team. They're playing Florida in the first round, so when we do the playoff previews, I'll give you my take on that. Islanders. We thought since COVID didn't really do anything to them, why would a 13-game road trip do anything? And turns out the 13-game road trip did a lot to them. Finishing 5th, although they had a late season surge, they were last for a while. But they finished 5th. I had them finishing 3rd. A lot of people had them finishing 1st, which I never really understood because they were a playoff team, not a regular season team. But, I had them in the playoffs as well, so I'm as much of a fool as anyone. Columbus and Philadelphia I had switched. Columbus I had in 8th, Philadelphia I had in 6th, but they switched spots, so I guess close, but not close enough. And then New Jersey is the only team I nail in the Metropolitan, finishing 7th, and also the only other team besides the Hawks I got to see this year play, so I'm happy I got half of that right, half that game right. But yeah, those are my going over my regular season predictions. Because you can see, I have 24 X's, 8 check marks. So, was I close in my predictions to perfect? No. But there are a lot of one-offs, there are a lot of switcheroos. Like, this was an easy switch, Philadelphia and Columbus. You had Montreal and Buffalo. If I switched those around, that's another 2. If I had... Actually, that's about it. But a lot of the teams I had really close. If I had predicted that right, that would have been another 3 points. But you're not going to be perfect. If you are perfect, then you're a legend. But that's really all I have for you guys in this video. A lot of videos coming later, but I have to go get my day started, as I kind of just woke up and filmed this because I knew I have a busy day ahead. I'm going to go have some breakfast, maybe go have a sausage, egg, and cheese, who knows. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys in this one, and I shall see you guys later today. Goodbye.